Welcome everyone. Today we're focusing on Least Restrictive Environment or LRE and the role of supplementary aids and services in supporting students with disabilities. As special education teacher, we know LRE is not just a compliance phrase in the IEP. It is one of the most important decisions we help make for students. From my experience as a special education teacher, administrator, and data-focused compliance leader, I have seen that strong LRE decisions happen when teams focus on the individual student, the data, and the support needed for meaningful progress. The first major factor is individualization. LRE must be based on the student's unique needs and goals. It should also consider parent input and, when appropriate, student preferences. In my work with IEP teams, I always remind teachers that the student is not a label. The student is a learner with strengths, needs, goals, and a future. A strong IEP team asks, what does the student need to access instruction, participate with peers, and make progress? The next factor is benefit to the student. When we think about LRE, we need to consider academic, behavioral, functional, and social emotional benefits. The question is not simply, can the student sit in the general education classroom? The better question is, can the student benefit from the setting with the right supports? This is where data becomes powerful. Grades, progress reports, behavior data, classroom participation, social interaction, and IEP goal progress all help the team understand what is working and what needs to change. This slide focuses on the balance between appropriateness and inclusion. Students with disabilities should be educated with peers without disabilities to the maximum extent appropriate. But the setting also has to allow the student to make meaningful progress. As special education teachers, we often live in that balance. We want inclusion, but we also know inclusion must come with support, planning, collaboration, and specially designed instruction. Inclusion without support is not real inclusion. It is just placement. LRE requires both access and progress. Before an IEP team recommends a more restrictive setting, the team must consider supplementary aids and services. These may include accommodations, modified assignments, visual supports, assistive technology, behavior supports, small group instruction, peer support, adult support, or change in how instruction is delivered. This is where special education teachers are essential. You help identify what supports are realistic, meaningful, and connected to the student's IEP goals. A good LRE conversation should ask, what supports have we tried? What data do we have? What else could help the student remain successful in a less restrictive setting? This reflection slide is important because LRE is often misunderstood as a place. LRE is not automatically general education, resource, self-contained, or separate program. LRE is an IEP team decision based on what the individual student needs to make progress while being included with peers without disabilities to the maximum extent appropriate. For discussion, I want you to think about two questions. First, how does the IEP team determine whether the student can make progress in general education with supplementary aid and services? Second, what data should the team review before deciding that a student needs a more restrictive placement? From my Data King perspective, the answer should never be based on opinion alone. The team needs data, documentation, and a clear explanation of why the decision supports the student. For your exit ticket, I want you to identify one supplementary aid or services that could help a student remain in a less restrictive setting. Then name one type of data an IEP team should review before recommending a more restrictive placement. This exit ticket is designed to move us from theory to practice. As special education teachers, you are often the person who helps the team connect the student's needs with practical supports. When you return to your school or classroom, I want you to think about one student and ask, have we truly considered the supports that could help this student access a less restrictive environment? This slide brings the main message together. LRE decisions are crucial because they help determine the most suitable educational setting for each student with a disability. The goal is to provide the support the student needs while also ensuring the student is included in the general education environment to the maximum extent appropriate. As someone who has served as a teacher, administrator, and compliance-focused leader, I have seen how important these decisions are. A strong LRE decision can open doors for students. A weak LRE decision can limit access, confidence, and opportunity. So our responsibility is to make sure every LRE decision is individualized, data-informed, and connected to student progress. I want to close by sharing the vision behind Data King. Data King is about helping educators use data in a practical way to improve student outcomes. Data should not feel like paperwork, punishment, or just another compliance task. Data should help us tell the student story clearly and make better decisions. My background in special education, school leadership, compliance, and data analysis has taught me that teachers need tools, support, and networks that make this work easier and more meaningful. That is why I encourage you to connect, join the network, and continue the conversation. The Data King vision is simple. Use data, protect student access, support teachers, and improve outcomes for students with disabilities. Thank you for the work you do every day. Your voice at the IEP table matters, and your data can help change the direction of a student's education. Thank you and goodbye.